Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Camgoat Show. As always, I am your host right here in Phoenix, Arizona, Isaac Joel, your local filmmaker, photographer, your Camgoat, and I am joined right in the studio with my producer, Ruben Rapalda, the legend. How are you doing tonight, Ruben?
What's going on? Great night so far. I'm chilling. Kind of just did something real quick.
Just something real quick.
Yeah.
We just saw a little indie movie that you guys may know, you may be interested in. We just walked out of the theater from Spider-Man No Way Home. Wow. This is our first viewing, and we rushed back to the studio to kind of give you guys our initial thoughts, and we are actually right after this episode going to go right back in and seeing it again. Mm-hmm. We already got our tickets, we already got our seats, we're already excited and ecstatic to go back and relive this experience with a complete new audience. As a matter of fact, I did hear people walking out of the theater saying that, like, "Oh, we're coming back tonight too." And I was like, "No way! I'll see you later, man." We were making friends. We were talking to people. It was a great environment. It was a great environment.
Definitely.
We saw Spider-Man No Way Home, the most anticipating movie of the year, of the decade. Yeah, this has 100%. Been something we've been leading up to without even knowing we've been leading up to it. This feels like the movie that rights a lot of wrongs, that fixes a lot of issues that we've had in the past, and problems and contracts, and this movie, I felt, represented the idea that none of that matters. Yeah, none of that matters. We love and support everybody and everything, and we just want what's best for the character. I, as a Spider-Man fan, I definitely feel much more now that this character is in such great hands, because I although we have enjoyed seeing Tom Holland in Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, those were, I'm talking about the Russos, and Homecoming was great and all, but it hasn't felt like the Peter Parker character in the MCU has rightfully earned being Spider-Man, and this movie gives him that title. It absolutely does. This movie is earned for the fans. It's well deserved for the fans.
Yeah, this movie was definitely for the fans. You can tell it right from the beginning. Just exactly what you said. Spider-Man, it feels like Spider-Man is truly home to Marvel, to the MCU. Mm-hmm. And we'll get right into it.
We're giving you guys our quick non-spoiler reactions to it before we dive right into it. So if you don't want to listen, if you want to go watch the movie and then come back here. But we're just going to give you our quick initial thoughts. Ruben, please tell me how it was sitting in that theater next to your brother, next to me, and surrounded by an amazing group of people. What did it feel like walking in and walking out?
Yeah, man, that was honestly truly an experience. Watching Spider-Man movies in the theaters are just special. That's a character that pretty much started superhero movies. Solo superhero movies. It's a character I grew up with. It's a character, I see his values every day. I feel like you would agree the same. Like you see yourself as Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
And so it's very important to me. This character is very important to me, and
for a lot of people,
definitely. And then just to see that ensemble on screen, I won't, obviously for spoilers, but once you'll see it, man. This movie is, like I said, for the fans, and it hit every mark I wanted. There wasn't anything that disappointed me, or I kind of wish they did that, or I kind of wish they didn't do that. It hit all the marks for me, and I'm just blown away that Sony was able to pull it off. Mm-hmm. It was a movie that has been like speculated or dreamt of something like, is this possible? Is it too corny to do something like this? Yeah. Does it make sense? And the fact that John Watts, Kevin Feige, Amy Pascal were all able to pull this off, man. And I mean, I still got to see it again. I don't know if it's my favorite Spider-Man movie because, man, Spider-Man movies are iconic and everything.
Spider-Man 2, 2004, and also The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for me.
Yeah. The first Amazing Spider-Man, right?
No, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is probably
really?
my favorite in the Andrew Garfield series.
Really?
Definitely,
Okay.
yeah. The two Spider-Man movies were always my absolute favorite. I remember seeing The Amazing Spider-Man I think at least 3 or 4 times in the theater.
Yeah.
With different people each time, and it was an experience each time.
Yeah, but going off of that, yeah, man, this. Like I said, I gotta watch it again, but I do think this beats all of them for me right now.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to get into it. What did you think coming out of it?
A lot of my predictions that we have made on this show, if you guys have listened in the past, a lot of my predictions came true. And even then, to see it and to hear it was really shocking. It felt like I still had no idea where this movie was going, even with all of the unfortunate leaks and spoilers that other podcasters, other individuals have kind of ruined this movie for some people online, especially on Twitter, YouTube. But even then, even kind of knowing what we already knew, every second had my heart skipping a beat. There was never a minute where I was checking my phone, checking the time, thinking where are we at right now in the story, or like, oh, we're coming in towards the end, or we're in the middle part, right? I never knew where we were in the story and where it was that we were going to go from here. The twist, the turns, and there was a lot of speculation that this was going to be the darkest Spider-Man movie of them all. I would have to agree. This is dark. This is emotional. This is really heartbreaking and heart-wrenching, and it was very hard for me to not be sobbing almost all the time watching it, because hearing somebody say this or seeing this or seeing that would take my breath away. And as it was happening, I couldn't believe it was happening. I couldn't believe this is real. This is a pipe dream on a whole other level, because there was a time when we said, oh, Spider-Man will never be in the Avengers, in the MCU. They'll never figure out the contracts. They'll never share the rights. Sony wants Marvel. Sony wants Spider-Man because all the toys, the merchandise, the money it produces, all that. They're never going to give it back to us. And then we were proven wrong with Civil War. We were proven wrong with Infinity War when we saw him go to space. When we saw him get blipped and come back. We have seen a whole new and different side of Spider-Man that we have never seen before. And this movie is a pipe dream in another galaxy. I'm definitely lost for words with this.
Let's get into some spoilers then. I guess we pretty much got all we got to say, man. Let's go watch this movie, then come back here, and then we'll get it going. Let's what do we want to talk about first?
The villains. I want to get right into the villains for me. We had a lot of ideas that there may be a 6th villain, because we were only being marketed 5 villains, and surprise, surprise, no 6th villain.
Yeah,
not a deal breaker, not a ball buster. Just and this movie, just because you wanted something else or were expecting something to go another way, does not mean that it's lesser than what it is, because they took another direction than you thought it was going with it. The 5 villains, the main villain for me, and this is out there for everybody, because they've said that Green Goblin is the main villain. For me, the main villain, I don't even want to say he's the main villain, but the one that really stole the show was Electro, Jamie Foxx. That dude really stole the screen for me, and to see his thirst for power and the energy, and how he can feel the different energy and vibrations in this universe than his universe. Incredible to see him like want to continue to just have the world see him for who he is, to see his arc actually kind of like come to like a conclusion was really satisfying for me. Sandman and Lizard, I was hoping they would not get the backseat the way that they did in this movie.
Yeah.
There's reusable footage for them. Only them. And we're assuming that this is due to the actors being too old. Even though they did deepfake for the other actors, I guess that just wasn't in the budget for these guys. So they settled for voiceover work and reusable footage. The reusable footage is not that bad. It really isn't. It's actually It's blended in there really good. It like looks Sopranos. Really good. No, don't even compare it on that level. Like that is no. Actually, a good example that came to my mind was Zack Snyder's Justice League. They used reusable footage from Man of Steel in there for like flashbacks. But it was spliced together really well, and it was color graded really well, and like it just looks really good. So those two are kind of like definitely like, unfortunately, like I wouldn't even say C level. They're like D level villains in here. You don't get to see kind of like Sandman do anything interesting with his fists, because we talked about how like Sandman does different shapes and forms, and he doesn't really do anything like that. He just settles for the giant sandstorm stuff. And Lizard is really just more animated than and my favorite aspect about Lizard is that he's an animal, so I just don't really like how clear he talks and his mannerisms. So I know it sounds like I'm really like critiquing this movie, but I'm really not. I'm just kind of like getting like the small stuff out of the way, because after this is like everybody else, guys, rocks the screen. Dr. Octavius, Norman Osborn, Electro. Ruben, did you have a favorite sequence? I know we have not tipped the iceberg on spoilers here yet on who has made an appearance, but we have to go through this one by one to kind of give everybody their rightful due, because everybody really stepped up to the plate for this movie and came back and gave their all for it.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I think for me is that the first appearance of Doc Ock is what really sold me, that they were able to pull it off, because right away you just feel like he just came from Spider-Man 2, you know, the same vibe, the same aesthetic.
Same motives, the same mindset.
Exactly. Yeah. It felt like, even like you mentioned, you know, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. I should have killed your girl. Oh, when he said, I should have killed your girl. Oh, my God, man. That was cool. So he was obviously taken when, when they were in the middle of, to shut down the whatever thingy. But, oh, man, just to get that vibe and getting his performance to the same level, I was worried that it wasn't gonna feel right, it was gonna feel, them in present time. He feels old and sluggish and stuff, but not at all, man. They really pulled it off. So just Dr. Octavius in general in this movie is what really surprised me.
Yeah. Even the way that he turns towards the end, he comes in clutch and saves at the nick of time.
Yeah, it makes sense,
Norman Osborn was
legendary,
iconic. He came back. I'm something of a scientist myself.
That was great.
There are nods and references to all the other films, but it never was overbearing. It never became too much. It never was like, all right. It was always kind of snuck in there, really, really delicately.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn. He really beats the shit out of Tom Holland in the second act when they're in Happy's apartment studio, and that scene really got dark quick because they're in the room trying to figure out cures for all of the villains, and Norman's right there with them, and they're like, "What's wrong, Peter? What's going on?" And he just stands up, and it looks like he has like vertigo, like, and the camera's just like following him going through the entire apartment, and everyone's like, "What's wrong, dude? Are you good?" And then he just like looks at Norman, and then you can feel like his presence coming, the Green Goblin, and it really is a case of like schizophrenia. You know, he really can't control what the Green Goblin does. Mm-hmm. Which, like, for me, it always kind of felt like the two were driving at the same time. But this movie really like shows you that, like, oh, Norman's in the back seat and Goblin has his hands on the wheel. My goodness, I don't even want to. This is tough, man. This is tough.
Yeah, and we're talking about the villains so far. There's just so much in this movie that. Let's talk about the third act, man. They're here.
They're here.
They're here.
They've returned
after speculation, months. Shout out to Fandom Wire who broke the story of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield supposedly returning to this movie, and everyone was like, "There's just no way, man. How is that gonna work?" You know, Toby's not even like acting anymore. Really, nobody hires him. You know,
he reactivated his Twitter account. Yeah. Andrew Garfield was spotted by a DoorDasher in Atlanta. The suits leaked. The score leaked. There was a lot pointing towards it.
And even then, people were denying, like, nah, they're not in it. There's no way. It's Tom's movie, blah, blah, blah.
And it is Tom's movie. It 100% is Tom Holland's movie. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire reprised their role as Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man from their respected universes. Not a variant, not a version of those characters. They are those characters. And they walk in the room as if they never left. As if they were meant to die being Spider-Man. I don't see them not returning again. Let's just get that out of the way. I don't see this being like, okay, we did it for the fans. That's it. Like, you guys got to stop crying about this. You got to let it go. We're done. Like, we're over this. We're past this. No, Andrew Garfield was born to be Spider-Man. The charisma he has, the passion he has for the character, he loves it to death, and I just don't see them giving up on him again. And we were shocked and sad when they did give up on him way back then. Yeah. But this just feels like, how could you lose this man again? And he's fresh off of Tick Tick Boom. You can tell that he just got done shooting Tick Tick Boom and went straight. He has the same hair, same everything. You know, he's got a little bit of stubble, which looks really great on him. Tobey Maguire is, they don't really say married, right? But he is with Mary Jane. They fixed their relationship. They patched things up. And last podcast, we were talking about how there was these question marks on these characters. And boy, oh boy, do you get those answers. Do you get that closure? But the way that it ends, it still does not feel like that they're gone.
There's something left, whether it's, you know, the rumor of them supposedly getting movies again, or they're in
Secret Invasion,
Secret Wars. Who knows? Even Multiverse of Madness, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if we get to visit their worlds, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is planned for Multiverse of Madness. Some stuff we're like not even expecting. Some stuff we already know. That movie's gonna be crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him sooner rather than later.
One of my favorite things about Captain America, the First Avenger, was at the end credits, they showed a teaser for Avengers, like actual footage that had been shot. And that at that time, that was unbelievable. Like, that was the first, like, a studio had ever, like, really was doing something like that on that level. Yeah. And they do that again in this one. The end, stick around for the mid-credit scene and the post-credit scene. But the post-credit scene at the very end is a teaser look at Multiverse of Madness. Yep. And man, that movie looks dark, directed by Sam Raimi, by the way.
Man,
Let us not forget. Benedict Cumberbatch is not only off of working with all of the Spider-Man, but now he's working with Sam Raimi himself. Like, dude, Benedict is on one, man.
Yeah, put him to work. Yeah, that movie, I'm very excited. I'm excited to see what Sam Raimi has spin on an MCU movie.
We got a taste of dark Doctor Strange.
Supreme
Doctor Strange from What If, you know. It probably isn't that direct Supreme Doctor Strange. It could be just another, that turned evil. But irregardless, it gives us the What If vibes. Irregardless, it feels and looks just like that. And wow, does he look good? Does he sound good? Benedict is just on his game with all of these characters that he plays, dude. He really knows how to adapt and with his environment. He's one of the luckiest actors I think ever, because he just gets to kind of like, he's part of this stuff, and he gets to see so much. And then all he has to do is just wait and watch people's minds be blown, Yeah.
Mordo's back, which is great.
Yeah.
Good to see him.
Rachel McAdams.
Yeah. I do think Wanda's going to be a big role.
Yes. Bigger than I originally thought.
I think she's going to be the villain. I think she's going to end up being
the villain. Really? God.
Yeah, I think she's the reason this stuff is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I just think she has a bigger role in this, and then she has to be the one to either fix it or she's definitely gonna have equivalent role.
The mid-credits scene is Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock returning back to his universe, but left behind is a piece of the symbiote.
Yep.
And which was kind of strange, because we made an observation on the car ride back. Was I thought the spell was pulling in people who already knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, but Eddie Brock didn't know Peter was Spider-Man in his universe. So how and why did he get pulled into this universe? I think that's a continuity error. I really don't think that that's something that's going to be explained down the line. I really think that they were not thinking when they shot that scene in Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
It's messy.
And it's messy. It's really messy.
Also, one thing.
But I really enjoyed watching Tom Hardy in this clip, because he looked like he had a parasite. The way he was sweating, the way he was talking to himself. The acting was just, the tone was more subtle. It was better.
Just one thing I wanted to say, because we have Morbius coming up.
Yeah.
And we know the Morbius movie is connected to the Venom world.
Yes.
Because they talk about San Francisco, and they talk about, and then he even calls himself Venom.
Even in the first trailer, Spider-Man was in the alley. Sam Raimi.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. What is that Spider-Man? Because we know there's no Spider-Man in the Venomverse. It's been known, because he didn't know what a Spider-Man was when he saw him in the post-credit scene.
Also Vulture.
And Vulture's in there. So I'm just kind of confused of what is that, because obviously the murder thing was from Mysterio.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing, and this is very messy.
How much you want to bet that that's not even going to be in the movie? They're going to CGI that out. Well, but that was such a trailer shot, though.
But the thing is, it was in the second trailer, though.
Oh, wow.
Venom was already out. No Way Home was about to come out. So I don't
messy. The Morbius Morbius would be the movie to have to answer a lot of that.
And then we have the Oscorp logo from Amazing Spider-Man.
What is happening? You're right, man.
So I don't know if it's
another universe.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's too much. It is getting too much.
And I was hoping it would be figured out in this. Maybe it was like maybe interdimensions were like crossing over and combining. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I kind of thought they would do that, because that would explain everything with realities. Kind of having similar ideas or stuff like that. But I'm curious to see how Morbius goes into play, how the future of the Sonyverse with the Kraven movie. There's a Spider-Woman movie coming out in a couple of years.
Spider-Verse Part 1 and Part 2.
Part 1 and Part 2.
We're hearing that those are in connection with this.
Yeah, they're. It's just very weird that there's a lot of these continuity errors. But aside from that, this movie, man.
Aside from that, we're talking about post-credit scene stuff here, and that's where like everything, the math doesn't add up. But the movie in itself, Peter Parker, Tom Holland really is put through the absolute most. There is a death scene, which again, this stuff is like hard for me to like just spill right out because I want you guys to go watch the movie. But like, if you're listening to this, you've already seen the movie, so thank God. But during Aunt May's death scene, that just kept on going and going and going and going, and it never stopped. It never ceased to like find its end, and it was just pulling on me the entire time. There was a guy next to me who was like really quiet like the entire time, and I was trying my best not to like bother him, but I could not help and be sobbing countless times when Aunt May died, when Andrew entered into the scene, and every time he looked at Toby, every time he turned around and looked at him, it was like they had this little brother, big brother relationship going on, more so than they did with Tom. It felt like Andrew and Toby had more screen time together than the three of them had screen time together. They had more of a connection than all three of them together. It felt like Toby was the older brother. Andrew was like that silly, goofy brother that like just couldn't take anything seriously. When he like touched both of them, he was like, "I love you guys," and they're like, "Okay, yeah, thanks." So many like the jokes never overran.
Chemistry was great.
But it's funny because of the chemistry. Yes, exactly. The chemistry was so surreal. Seeing everybody just vibe off of each other. You get the classic, pointing me. Which Peter? There's three of us. You got to be more specific here.
I do want to say though, Ned and Zendaya, or Jacob Bartolone and Zendaya, man, their performances were great, especially at the end.
As supporting Peter, being his loyal friend and girlfriend through the very end, in whatever choices he made. Whether he made the right choice or the wrong choice, they were always like, "Peter, it's okay. Like, whatever you need, like, we're here for you." Yeah. And then the way this movie ends is Doctor Strange, the only way to kind of contain all of the multiverses from clashing is to do the spell where everybody forgets that he's Spider-Man. And that includes Mary Jane and Ed. And it is a real sad moment when they have to say their goodbyes, and he promises them that he's gonna find them, and they're going to be together again, all of them, and you believe him when he says that, but he doesn't follow through with it yet. There's kind of like it's open-ended, but when he goes inside the diner where she works, Ned is also there. It's as if like him and her are still friends, but Peter walks in and they don't recognize him, and it's like love at first sight. And that's one of the favorite things about watching Peter Parker is seeing him fall in love. And that's not really something that we got to live, and experience between Homecoming and Far From Home. It was like Homecoming, we didn't know she was MJ, and then Far From Home, it was all about like, oh, we have this crush on each other. But it was like, where did this crush come from? It just, the movie starts and it was like, oh, I like MJ, I want to get with her. I was like, oh, okay. That's fine. I wish I would have seen this chemistry or whatever it is that is bringing them together. But now it feels like we're going to be able to see that going forward.
Well, I don't think I think they're just going to disconnect from them because they're going to MIT,
Yeah.
I do think Tom's Spider-Man, they're just going to restart. I think either we get the introduction of Harry or maybe Gwen.
Stacy.
Gwen gets in there. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I really do like Zendaya and Jacob Bartolone.
Because Zendaya was beautiful to watch. Her performance was so sincere and so innocent in this, and I loved watching her. As this movie sold me on her as Mary Jane. When she was being interrogated, she looked amazing. Her attitude, the leather jacket, I was like, this is classic MJ right here. I need to see more of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I'm excited. Don't even get me started on the new suit we got. He made his own suit finally.
And the way it shines,
the texture, it reminds me of I forget what the suit is called, but in the Spider-Man game, there's
in the PS4 game.
The PS4 game, there's a similar suit that has that
classic suit.
I don't know if it's the classic. I think it's a special because it has that like reflective blue material.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but man, and it has like the like an original like spider symbol. It's not like the techie one.
Yeah. There's nothing techie about this suit because it's all fabric. It's sewn. It's all fabric. It's back to. It really feels like, even though this movie gave us so much, it feels like a fresh start for Spider-Man. Yeah. And you can't have a fresh start for Spider-Man without everybody coming back. Crazy enough to say.
But nobody knows who he is.
Nobody knows.
Avengers don't know. Doctor Strange don't know. So he's on his own now. He moved into an apartment. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the video game, how he's,
we're going to see college years now.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Something we've never really, again, like, I know I keep saying this, but we don't, even with the past movies, we never got to experience, Peter Parker. And so with this, it feels like we're going to live through so much in his life. I want to watch him grow up. I want to see him be a 30-year-old man and still be Spider-Man and still struggle to live a double life and to pass it on to Miles Morales someday. That's very likely with Tom Holland. I don't think that's I hope that's not another universe. I want that to be in this universe.
Yeah, I think that Electro joke was there for a reason, to kind of be like, he's coming.
Yeah.
Black Spider-Man is coming.
Definitely. But Andrew got to say not goodbye, but we got to say goodbye to these characters when he goes up to Max at the end and he tells him, he's like, you're not a nobody, man. Toby, when he's face to face with Dr. Octavius, they finish each other's sentences, and Otto looks at him and he says, "My goodness, you're older now," and he's like, I'm trying to be better. And the moments that everyone has with each other is so simple and sweet. They don't drag anything out for too long, and it's beautiful to watch. This movie, I would describe it as ultimate and beautiful and sincere from the bottom of a true fan's heart. This movie pays a lot of homage. Even before you see Toby and Andrew, there's a lot of moments that are reminiscent to the Raimi movies and the Amazing Spider-Man. When he saves the car down from the bridge, how he webs them and holds it up, and then he saves the people, brings them back up. Obviously the ferry scene in Homecoming, but there were so many tidbits in this particular movie that I was like, wow, this looks like that, and this looks like that. The music cues, everything was just on point. CGI. The electro music cue when he pops in, that there's a lot of quiet moments that just like you're like, oh my God, what's about to happen? What is about to happen? The suspense and the tension really builds up.
Does 100% does.
They took their times. I felt like as filmmakers with this movie. This movie felt Homecoming felt like a sincere coming of age story, and Far From Home was just a blockbuster popcorn grab. And then this one feels so genuine.
Yeah, I do feel you. One critique I had with the Spider-Man through the MCU was I just didn't like how the CGI kind of looked.
Yeah.
I really liked how it looked in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with like the textures and the fabric and stuff like that. And then even like in the original Raimiverse trilogy, for its time, I feel like the CGI
it was out of this world.
Yeah, is really good. But for this one, I really think they nailed it. Even with Doc Ock being fully CGI, no puppet.
Yeah, that deepfake looked way better than Irishman. Let me tell you now.
Yeah, it looked great. You could tell they used a whole chunk of the budget on him. But yeah, man, I was blown away by the visuals. Like you said, the music, even like the original music, I thought was fantastic. They didn't really use as much as the original Spider-Man themes, but I think there was a nice blend of the new,
because it's still Tom's movie. They made sure that you feel and that that this is his story. And they're just there to back him up.
Yeah, 100%. I honestly just can't wait to just think about watching this movie again, and we're gonna buy it in a couple hours. So I'm really excited to
watching them do science together, man. They're Andrew. Andrew loves. I feel like it had to have been his idea to be like, oh, let me wear the suit the entire time and then just put the lab coat over me. Let me never change. Let me just always be Spider-Man. Always be, and that's the difference between them. Is Toby is really good at concealing his identity, and he says so himself. He's like, I don't go around bragging that I'm just Spider-Man, and then Andrew's like, oops. It's because he loves it. He immediately took his mask off and it was like, oh yeah, I did do that when I walked in. And it's like everyone is so aware of who they are and they own it. And I appreciate from the bottom of my heart these filmmakers, these producers so much. Like, I know you'll never listen to this, but thank you for giving me tonight, for giving me this experience, for letting me live on with this forever. And I don't know where it is you take this character from here. I don't know what it is that you do next. And you know what? A ball is completely in your court, John Watts. I hope you return, and I'm sure that's obvious, but I hope you return for the next Spider-Man trilogy. I cannot wait to see what he does with the Fantastic Four movie. Oh my goodness, this John Watts is the freaking man.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to see what they do with this new version of the Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it's gonna be exciting. Fuck, man.
Any last thoughts, man, that you want to give out to these people? It's really easy, guys. It's really easy. The movie is incredible. It is fantastic. It's not long. It gets right to it. It gives you everything that you have ever dreamt of and wanted. Go see it now.
Just grab some popcorn, lay back, and enjoy the ride, man. Because literally from the first minute to the final minute.
Oh my goodness, the way it opens with the audio, classic. What does it remind me of? It just it reminded me of Endgame, the opening to Endgame. Thank you. I'm sorry. Yes. Let me backtrack.
Yeah.
Infinity War, where you hear the Asgardians make the call and they're like under attack, and it starts so dark and chilling. Yes, that's how this opens up with the same audio of Mysterio, the news guy, and J. Jonah Jameson revealing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and it goes on and on through the logos. The music's really dark. It's like, oh my goodness. The world is ending right now. Yeah. It feels like the world is ending and it's over for him. Oh man, we didn't even mention it, but yes, the probably the best comic book superhero ever, Matt Murdock, Daredevil himself, makes a 1 minute appearance, like maybe 40 seconds. It's very quick. It's very easy. He was literally sitting down the entire time. But listen, man, when he showed up on screen, that was the first time the audience lost their mind. That was the first, like, oh my God. Me and Ruben are diehard Netflix Daredevil fans. I will never forget when that show came out. It completely ran my life. We just like revisited it, and it holds up. Everyone is coming back, man. This doesn't feel like the end. This doesn't feel like cameos. This doesn't feel small. It feels like everything you have ever seen matters. And congratulations. Congratulations for taking the time as a fan to invest yourself into these stories, into these characters, because I hope this pays off for you.
Yeah, man. That's all you got. That's all I got to say, man.
That's really all I have to say, too, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our review for Spider-Man No Way Home. Please go out there. A lot of people have been messaging me tonight. Just the phones are blowing up. Everyone wants to know, like, I don't care if you spoil it. Tell me right now who's in it, what's happening. And I'm not going to respond to any of those people because I want you to go buy a ticket, sit down, watch it, and experience it for yourself, guys. My name has been Isaac Joel, Ruben Rapalda. We are here for you, and we will see you next time. Thank you for listening.